Think about this for just 1 second. Right now, there are over 430 billion birds on this planet. They're in your backyard. They're in the park. They're sitting on power lines outside your window, singing at 5 in the morning whether you want them to or not. You see them constantly, every single day. But here's a question that most people never think to ask. When was the last time you actually found a dead one? Not a bird that got hit by a car. Not one your cat dragged in. Just a bird, lying on the ground, gone. You probably can't remember. And that's not a coincidence. That's not luck. That is one of nature's most perfectly engineered disappearing acts. And once you understand how it works, you will never look at a bird the same way again. Stay with me, because this goes much deeper than you think. Let's start with some numbers, because the math here is genuinely disturbing. Most small songbirds live only around 5 years. Some species have mortality rates so staggeringly high that nearly 90% of their young don't survive their first winter. Factor in predators, disease, starvation, brutal migration journeys, extreme weather, and you're looking at billions of birds dying every single year. Billions, every year. So where are the bodies? If even a fraction of those deaths happened in visible places, we'd be stepping over dead birds every morning on the way to work. Our parks would look like graveyards. Children would be asking uncomfortable questions on the walk to school. But they don't. And the reason why isn't simple. It's actually a combination of several systems working together in almost perfect silence. Nature has a cleanup operation running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it is astonishingly efficient. So efficient, in fact, that billions of deaths leave almost no trace at all. And what makes this even more remarkable is that this system wasn't designed. There was no blueprint. It emerged, piece by piece, species by species, behavior by behavior, over millions of years of evolution, each part fitting so precisely with the others that the result looks deliberate. It looks engineered. It looks, if you let yourself think about it long enough, almost like something that doesn't want to be seen. Let's break down exactly how it works. The first layer of this system is the one most people can guess. Predators. Birds sit right in the middle of the food chain. Cats, foxes, rats, crows, hawks, owls. They are constantly watching, constantly scanning, constantly waiting for anything that isn't moving the way it should. The moment a bird dies in an open space, becomes a meal almost immediately. And here's the thing people miss. Most birds don't even get the chance to die in the open. The majority are killed mid-hunt, caught by a predator and consumed on the spot. There is no body left behind, no evidence. Sometimes just a small scattering of feathers in the grass. Those feather piles you occasionally spot in a garden or at the edge of a forest. That's not a bird that died peacefully. That's the aftermath of a hunt. Predators eat the muscle and the organs. Rodents, who want the calcium, chew through the bones. Beetles consume the feathers, which are mostly protein. Within days, in some cases within hours, nothing remains. And cats deserve a special mention here. In the United States alone, cats kill an estimated 1.3 to 4 billion birds every year. That number is so large it's almost impossible to process. 69% of those kills come from feral cats. But even well-fed pet cats that go outside are part of the system. A cat doesn't hunt because it's hungry. It hunts because it's a cat. That instinct doesn't switch off. What makes the predator system so effective isn't just speed. It's competition. Multiple species are competing for the same resource at the same time. A hawk takes a bird in flight. A fox finds the same location an hour later and finds nothing. A crow arrives after the fox and finds nothing after that. Each predator that passes through resets the clock, removing not just the body, but any lingering trace that something died there at all. The competition between scavengers is, unintentionally, one of the most thorough cleanup mechanisms in nature. The predator system alone accounts for the disappearance of an enormous number of birds. But it's only the beginning. Here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. What about the birds that aren't caught? The ones that grow old, or fall ill, or simply run out of energy? Where do they go? The answer is, they go somewhere you will never find them. When a bird feels unwell, when it's sick, injured, or weakening, something switches in its brain. Its survival instincts take over completely. It doesn't stay out in the open. It finds the densest bush it can, the thickest hedge, the darkest corner under a pile of leaves. It tucks itself away and disappears from the world. This behavior is entirely logical from a survival standpoint. A slow, sick bird out in an open space is an invitation to every predator in the area. So it hides. It rests. Sometimes it recovers. But when it doesn't, it dies exactly where it hid, in places that humans almost never look, and predators often struggle to reach. Bird experts who study this behavior note that sick or injured birds frequently lose their flight reflex entirely. They stop responding to movement, stop reacting to sounds, and simply retreat into whatever shelter they can find. After collisions with glass, for example, a bird might fly away and seem completely fine, but it's actually suffering internal injuries, bruising, even fractures it cannot show on the outside. It finds a quiet place, and it doesn't come back. There's something worth pausing on here. This hiding behavior means that the places birds choose to die are almost always places humans have no reason to go. Inside the base of a dense hedge, beneath the layered root system of a large tree, inside a cavity in a wall or a hollow in the ground. These are not places we walk past. They are not places we look into. A bird could die within 20 feet of a busy garden and never be found, not because it disappeared, but because it chose a hiding spot so instinctively perfect that no one thought to look there. This is why the birds you see every day feel so alive, so present, so full of energy, because the ones that aren't vanish. Even if a bird does die somewhere visible, the clock starts immediately, and it runs fast. Birds are physically built in a way that makes them disappear quicker than almost any other animal. They have thin skin, very low body fat, hollow bones, and an incredibly light frame. The moment a small bird hits the ground, bacteria and insects move in within hours. A small songbird can decompose into an unrecognizable form in roughly a day. Within 3 days, it's essentially gone. Compare that to a similarly sized mammal. A rat might remain visible and recognizable for over a week. A raccoon, with its thick skin, heavy bones, and dense body fat, can lie on the side of a road for 2 weeks or more before it fully disappears. Birds just vanish faster. Even a roadkill hawk or owl, which is significantly larger than a songbird, breaks down completely within days. Nature's recycling system doesn't waste time. The insects that drive this process are doing work that most people never think about. Blowflies can detect a dead bird within minutes, sometimes from over a mile away. Dermestid beetles, the same species that natural history museums use to clean animal skeletons for display, arrive in waves and reduce feathers, skin, and soft tissue with extraordinary precision. Beneath the soil, mites and microbes break down what's left. The hollow bones, which are already thin and fragile, collapse and are absorbed into the ground faster than the bones of any other vertebrate animal. Within a week, in warm conditions, even the skeleton of a medium-sized bird can become undetectable without scientific equipment. So between the predators that consume them immediately, the hiding behavior that puts them beyond our sight, and the rapid decomposition that erases what little evidence remains, the system is close to perfect. Now here's something that most people don't know, and it changes how you'll look at every window you've ever seen. Every year, somewhere between 1 and 3 billion birds die from collisions with glass in the United States alone. That's not a typo. 1 to 3 billion, just in one country. Birds cannot recognize glass. When they see a reflection of trees or the sky in a window, they perceive it as real space, habitat they can fly into. They don't know there's a barrier. They hit it at full speed. What's even more alarming is what happens after the collision. Many birds that strike a window appear to shake it off. They sit up. They fly away. People watching assume the bird survived. A 2024 study that tracked over 3,000 birds brought to rehabilitation centers after window collisions found that 60% of them eventually died, many after a full day or more of care with professional wildlife rehabilitators. The ones that flew away, most of those didn't survive either. They flew off and did exactly what birds always do when they're dying. They found somewhere hidden, and they disappeared. The scale of this is worth letting sink in. 1 to 3 billion birds in one country every year. From windows alone, not from predators, not from disease, from glass, from the buildings we designed without ever considering what a bird sees when it looks at them. The glass towers in major cities that look beautiful from the street are, from a bird's perspective during migration, walls of reflected sky that appear to lead somewhere safe. Billions of birds a year discover, in the last second of their lives, that they don't. The windows in your home, your office, the buildings you walk past every day, they are part of this system, and the birds they take are taken silently, invisibly, in a way that leaves no trace for us to find. This is the question that takes this whole topic somewhere unexpected. Do birds have any awareness of death? Scientists are genuinely divided on this. What we do know is that some bird species, particularly crows and magpies, which rank among the most intelligent animals on Earth, display behaviors that look remarkably like mourning. Crows have been documented gathering around the body of a dead crow, going silent, and remaining there for extended periods. Scientists call these gatherings crow funerals, though whether that label reflects what's actually happening inside the crow's mind is still debated. Magpies have been observed gently touching the bodies of deceased flock members and placing small twigs beside them. Whether these behaviors represent a true understanding of death, or whether they're driven by instinct and social signaling, we genuinely don't know. But the fact that they happen at all, in birds, in animals that most of us assume operate on pure instinct, raises questions that science is still working to answer. Research into corvid intelligence has consistently produced findings that researchers describe, carefully, as surprising. Crows can recognize individual human faces and remember them for years. They pass information about dangerous humans to their offspring. They use tools, plan ahead, and solve multi-step problems. The question of whether an animal with that level of cognitive complexity can understand that death is permanent, that a flock member is not coming back, is not one that science can dismiss easily. Some researchers believe the crow funeral behavior is primarily about information gathering, learning what killed this bird, so the flock can avoid the same fate. Others believe it may be something closer to what we'd recognize as grief. The honest answer is that we don't yet have the tools to know which it is. What we can say is this: birds that are dying retreat. They separate themselves. They go somewhere quiet. Whether that's instinct or something more is a question worth sitting with. So here's the full picture of why you never see a dead bird. It's not because birds don't die. They die by the billions, every year, all around us. It's because a system has been running for millions of years that ensures those deaths happen out of sight. Predators consume them before we ever get close. Sick birds hide themselves in their final hours in places we never look. Rapid decomposition erases the evidence within days. Billions more die during migration over oceans and wilderness we'll never reach. And the human structures we've built, our windows, our buildings, our glass cities, take enormous numbers silently, invisibly, in ways that leave no body for anyone to find. Nature doesn't waste anything. Every single death feeds something else. Every body becomes energy for another creature, another insect, another turn of the cycle. It is ruthless, it is efficient, and it is almost completely invisible, by design. And perhaps the most unsettling part of all of this is what it says about the limits of our perception. We walk through a world where billions of things are happening that we cannot see, cannot detect, and would never guess at. The birds outside your window right now exist within a system of life and death that has been operating continuously since before humans existed. A system so well calibrated that it can absorb billions of losses a year and still present us with a world that looks, every single morning, completely full of life. The next time you step outside and hear birds calling from every direction, take a moment to actually think about what you're witnessing. You are looking at the survivors, the ones that outran a predator, outlasted a harsh winter, made it through a migration that killed others, and found food when there wasn't much left. Every bird you see is, in its own way, a small miracle. And the ones that didn't make it, nature made sure you would never have to watch them go. If this made you see birds differently, and I think it did, hit that subscribe button, because every single week we go this deep into the secret world of birds and the minds behind those wings. Drop a comment below. Have you ever actually found a dead bird? I want to know. And share this video with someone who thinks they know everything about nature, because I guarantee they've never thought about this.